Cooper tackled Sarah with full force. "Hold that crazy dog!" everyone yelled. When she looked back, she understood everything. Before we dive into today's story, let me know where you're watching from. Grab a coffee or get comfy on the couch, and please don't forget to support us. Just hit that like button, and I'll know you enjoy this kind of story. All right, ready? Let's get started. The afternoon sun filtered through the trees surrounding the backyard, casting patterns of light and shadow over the manicured lawn. The scent of meat sizzling on the grill mingled with the aroma of pine from the nearby woods. It was a perfect Saturday, one of those days that felt tailor-made for gathering family and friends. Cooper rested in the shade of a large tree, his golden ears slightly perked, attentive to every sound and movement. He had always been that way, vigilant, protective, even in the quietest moments. His snout twitched subtly, catching the various scents drifting through the air. "Who wants another beer?" Mark, the host, asked, holding up a frosty bottle. "I'll take one," replied Dave, his best friend, laughing as he adjusted his beach chair. Sarah, Mark's wife, was seated on a wooden bench near the picnic table, chatting animatedly with Jennifer about their summer vacation plans. The children ran across the lawn, their laughter echoing through the yard. Everything seemed perfectly normal. The property was expansive, with the backyard stretching for almost 50 yards until it met the tree line, marking the beginning of the woods. They had lived there for 5 years, and although occasional warnings about bears circulated in the community, they had never had any problems. Wildlife generally kept its distance from houses. Cooper, however, knew the woods better than any human there. His daily walks with Mark took him along the trails, where his keen senses picked up signs that went unnoticed by human eyes. He knew when deer grazed in the clearings. He knew when raccoons rummaged for food, and he knew how to recognize the scent of predators. "Did anyone see where I left the napkins?" Sarah asked, looking around the table. "I think they're inside in the kitchen," Mark replied, flipping a skewer on the grill. "I'll go grab them real quick." She stood up, smoothing her light summer dress, and started walking toward the house. But instead of taking the direct path across the deck, she decided to cut across the lawn, a shortcut that would take her closer to the tree line. Cooper immediately lifted his head, his nostrils flared, catching something in the air. Something wrong. Something dangerous. The wind shifted direction at that exact moment, bringing an odor that instantly tensed every muscle in the golden retriever's body. It was a musky, strong, wild scent, a smell his instinct recognized as a mortal threat. He rose slowly, his golden eyes fixed on the tree line. The conversations and laughter around him continued normally. No one else had noticed a thing. "Cooper, you all right, boy?" Dave asked casually, noticing the dog's rigid posture. But Cooper didn't break his gaze. His ears were fully erect now, swiveling slightly to catch any sound, and then he saw it, a movement among the trees. Large, dark, silent, an adult black bear slowly emerged from the woods, likely drawn by the smell of food. It was immense, easily weighing over 300 pounds, its muscles rippling under dark fur as it moved with the calculated caution of an experienced predator. And Sarah was walking directly toward the creature, completely oblivious to the danger approaching with every second. Cooper's heart began to pound. His protective instinct, cultivated through thousands of years of golden retriever evolution, took complete control. He didn't think. He didn't hesitate. He just acted. His hind legs flexed, propelling his 75-pound body forward in an explosion of speed. The lawn blurred beneath his paws as he ran with all the strength his muscles allowed. "Cooper! Cooper, what are you doing?" Mark yelled, dropping the skewer. But the dog didn't stop. He couldn't stop. Every instinct in his body screamed a single command: protect. Sarah was less than 30 feet from the tree line now. The bear had paused, watching, calculating. Cooper gained speed, his eyes fixed on Sarah. She turned her head at the sound of pounding paws, her eyes widening as she saw the golden retriever hurtling toward her like a golden missile. "Cooper, no!" He leaped. His 85 pounds of muscle and determination collided squarely with her body, knocking her violently to the ground. The impact knocked the wind right out of her lungs. She landed on her back on the lawn with a muffled cry, Cooper on top of her, his large body completely covering hers. "Oh my God!" Jennifer shrieked, dropping her glass. "Cooper!" Mark dropped everything and started running. "What the heck are you doing?" Dave was quicker. He reached the dog in seconds, his hands gripping the collar tightly. Other guests joined him, hands pulling, voices yelling, "Hold this dog! He's gone crazy!" Someone called the police. Cooper whimpered loudly, a sound of pure desperation, but his paws remained firmly planted on either side of Sarah's body. He wasn't hurting her. He was protecting her. His eyes weren't looking at the people pulling him. They were looking beyond them, at the threat no one else had seen yet. "Get him off her!" Mark yelled, his voice laced with panic and anger. He had never seen Cooper act like this. Never. The dog had always been gentle, docile, trustworthy with everyone. This made no sense at all. Dave and two other men were already grabbing Cooper, their hands trying to pull him away from Sarah, but the golden retriever resisted with surprising strength. His muscles trembled beneath his golden fur, not from aggression, but from absolute determination. He emitted low, urgent sounds, almost as if trying to communicate something desperately. "Are you okay, Sarah?" Jennifer asked, kneeling beside her friend, her hands gently touching her arm. Sarah was dazed, the impact of the fall still reverberating through her body. She blinked several times, trying to regain the breath that had been forced from her lungs. I don't know what happened. Did he just attack me?" The word attacked cut through the air like a knife. "I can't believe this," Mark murmured, finally reaching the group. His expression was a mixture of shock, disappointment, and something akin to betrayal. "Cooper never. He's never done anything like this." "Hold him tight," Dave ordered, his grip on the collar tightening. "Don't let him get loose." Cooper was whining now, a high-pitched, desperate sound that tore at anyone's heart who heard it. His paws scraped the ground, trying to maintain his position over Sarah, but the human hands were too many and too strong. He was losing the battle. "Help me get her up," Mark said, his hands reaching for Sarah. "No!" Cooper's whimper turned into a hoarse bark, filled with urgency. His golden eyes were wide, fixed not on the people, but on something behind them, something no one else was looking at. "This dog has completely lost it," said one of the guests, Tom, pulling Cooper harder. "You're going to have to do something about this, Mark. This is dangerous." The words were like knives. Cooper wasn't crazy. Cooper wasn't dangerous. Cooper was trying to save the person he loved most, and no one understood. No one saw. "Come on, Sarah, let's get you up," Mark said, slipping an arm under his wife's shoulders, helping her to start rising. That's when Cooper made one last desperate attempt. He pulled with all the strength he had left, almost breaking free from the hands holding him, his body lunging forward towards Sarah again. Not to hurt her, never to hurt her, to cover her, to protect her. "Hold him," Dave yelled, and more hands joined the effort to restrain the dog. Cooper was yanked backward forcefully, his front paws leaving the ground for a moment. He barked again, a high-pitched broken sound that echoed across the property. It was the bark of a dog who knew he was failing in his most important mission. Sarah was almost on her feet now, leaning on Mark, her body trembling not just from the impact of the fall, but from the shock of being knocked down by her own dog. Tears began to well in her eyes. "Why did he do that? Why, Mark?" "I don't know," he replied, his voice tight. "But we'll find out. Maybe he's sick. Maybe we need to take him to the vet immediately." "Sick?" Jennifer repeated. "That seems like more than just sickness. That was aggression." The words fell like a judgment. And still, Cooper kept struggling. his entire body tense, his eyes never straying from that specific direction. The trees, the woods, the danger moving in the shadows. "Maybe we should put him in the garage until we can get help," Tom suggested, his voice low but firm. "At least until we know what's going on with him." "Confine him," Sarah repeated, finally managing to stand fully upright, still leaning on Mark. "You're talking about confining Cooper." "Sarah, he attacked you," Jennifer said gently. "Everyone saw it. We can't risk that happening again." Cooper was being dragged now, his hind paws slipping on the lawn as 3 adult men pulled him away from Sarah. He wasn't biting, he wasn't growling, he just kept barking that desperate, urgent bark, trying to warn them about something no one else could see. "This isn't right," Mark murmured, but his voice was full of confusion. "Something's not right." Sarah smoothed her dress with trembling hands, still trying to process what had just happened. She looked at Cooper, her faithful companion of 5 years, the dog who slept at the foot of her bed every night, who greeted her enthusiastically every morning, who had never, not once, shown an ounce of aggression. And then she saw something in his eyes, not anger, not madness, fear, pure protective fear. "Wait," she said, her voice still weak from the fall. "Wait a minute." But no one stopped. The men continued dragging Cooper, their voices overlapping in discussions about what to do, how to restrain the dog, whether they should call animal control. Sarah turned her head instinctively, following the direction of Cooper's persistent gaze. Her eyes swept across the lawn, the scattered chairs, the still smoking grill, and finally reached the tree line from which she had come. And that's when her blood ran cold. There, less than 25 feet from where she stood, half hidden between 2 large trees, was a black bear, immense, its small, dark eyes fixed on her, its mouth slightly ajar, revealing teeth that looked capable of tearing metal. The creature was partially in the shadows, which explained why no one had noticed it before, but now, in the filtered afternoon light, it was impossible to miss. The bear was completely motionless, watching, calculating. Its muscles rippled under its dark fur as it assessed the situation. The group of humans, the noise, the movement, it was deciding attack or retreat. "Bear!" Sarah's scream tore through the air like an emergency alarm. "There's a bear! Look at the trees!" The effect was instantaneous. All conversation ceased, all movement froze. Heads simultaneously turned in the direction she was pointing, and what they saw stole the breath from everyone present. "Oh my God," Dave whispered, his grip on Cooper's collar involuntarily loosening. "Oh my heavens." The bear took a step forward, moving a little further out of the shadows. It was even larger than it initially appeared, probably weighing almost 400 pounds, its height easily reaching 6 to 7 feet when standing on its hind legs. Its front claws were long and curved, designed by nature to tear and hold. "Don't move!" Mark ordered, his voice low but filled with urgency. "Nobody move! Nobody make a sound!" But Cooper was no longer being restrained. The moment the hands loosened, he broke free, not running toward the bear, but positioning himself between the predator and Sarah. His fur was bristling along his spine, making him look larger. His paws were planted firmly on the ground, muscles tense and ready. A low, grave growl rumbled from his chest, not of blind aggression, but of calculated protection. "Cooper saved you," Jennifer whispered to Sarah, her voice trembling. "He saw the bear. He knocked you down to protect you." The realization washed over everyone like a wave. Eyes widened. Hands flew up to cover mouths open in shock. The dog they had just accused of a savage attack, whom they were ready to confine or worse, had in fact performed an act of pure heroism. "We almost..." Mark couldn't finish the sentence. Guilt was etched on his face. "We almost confined him while he was trying to save us." The bear took another step forward, testing. Its eyes scanned the group of humans, many noisy, But there was food there, it could smell it. And there was one who was closer, more vulnerable. Cooper barked. It wasn't the desperate whine from before. It was a warning, deep, strong, authoritative. A bark that said, "Don't you dare! Don't take another step!" "Head back to the house," Mark said, his voice controlled but firm. Slowly. No sudden movements. "Jennifer, take Sarah. Dave, help with the kids." "What about Cooper?" Sarah asked, her legs trembling, but her eyes fixed on the golden dog that was literally between her and certain death. "He knows what he's doing," Mark replied, though his voice trembled as he said it. "He got us this far. He'll get us out of here too." The group began to retreat slowly, careful steps across the lawn. The children were quickly scooped up, their innocent questions silenced by gentle hands over their mouths. No one took their eyes off the bear. No one dared to breathe louder than a whisper. Cooper remained on the front line, his body a living barrier between his family and the predator. The bear growled low, a sound that made the ground vibrate. It was a warning in return, but Cooper didn't retreat an inch. "Good boy," Mark whispered, his voice cracking. "Good boy, Cooper." The bear rose onto its hind legs, its true height now revealed. It was terrifying, a machine of muscle and claws designed by millions of years of evolution to be a top predator. It growled again, louder this time, its mouth opening completely to display fangs that could effortlessly crush bones. And Cooper, a 75-pound house dog who spent most of his days sleeping on the couch and chasing tennis balls, didn't move. He didn't flee. He didn't abandon his post. He planted his paws even more firmly on the ground and barked back. It was David versus Goliath. It was impossible. It was suicidal. It was what heroes do when those they love are in danger. The silent standoff stretched for seconds that felt like hours. The bear on its hind legs, immense and threatening. Cooper on the ground, small but unyielding. The wind stopped completely, as if nature itself held its breath to witness that moment. "Keep walking," Mark whispered to the group, who were slowly backing toward the house. "Don't stop, but don't run." Sarah was about 60 feet away now, but her eyes remained fixed on Cooper. Tears streamed freely down her face. "I can't leave him there alone," she whispered to Jennifer, who held her arm. "You have to," Jennifer replied firmly, though her own voice was choked with emotion. "That's exactly why he's there, to give you time to get safe." The bear dropped back onto all fours with a heavy thud that made the ground tremble. It looked at Cooper, then at the increasingly distant group of humans, then back at the dog. The primal math in its mind was clear. Too many humans meant danger, but a dog alone. It took a sidestep, testing. Cooper immediately moved to block the path, his golden eyes never leaving the predator. Another deep growl emanated from his chest, and this time his upper lip curled slightly, revealing his own teeth. They were nothing compared to the bear's fangs, but the message was clear. "You'll have to go through me." The bear seemed to consider this. Its small, intelligent eyes assessed the situation. There was food on the grill. There were delicious smells all over the yard. But there was also noise, movement, and this persistent dog that simply wouldn't back down. "Almost there," Mark was saying to the group, now just about 30 feet from the back door of the house. "Just a few more steps." But the bear was growing impatient. It had come for food. It was hungry, and this golden obstacle was between it and what it wanted. It growled again, louder, a sound that made the air vibrate with primal menace. Cooper didn't retreat, but something changed in his posture. His hind paws flexed slightly, preparing. His weight shifted differently. He was preparing not just to defend, but to act if necessary. "Mark," Dave said quietly, his voice tense. "The bear's going to charge. I can see it in its body language." Mark knew Dave was right. He had grown up in that region. He knew the signs. The bear was making its decision, and Cooper was alone in the line of fire. His mind raced, searching for options. Yell? That could scare the bear or provoke it. Throw something? Same risk. Run to Cooper? He'd never make it in time. The bear took another step forward, and Cooper responded with an explosive bark that echoed across the property like thunder. It was a bark of pure defiance, loaded with all the courage his breed had been shaped to have over generations. And then, something unexpected happened. Mark, now at the door of the house, grabbed the emergency whistle he kept hanging there, the same one they used on hiking trails to ward off wild animals. He blew it with all the force in his lungs. The sharp, piercing sound cut through the air, painful even to human ears, unbearable for animals with more sensitive hearing. The bear stopped immediately, its head turning toward the sound, its ears flattened. The noise clearly bothered it, confused it. This territory had too many humans, too much noise, too much unpredictability. Mark blew the whistle again, longer this time. Dave joined him, banging pots and pans he had hastily grabbed from the grill area. Tom started yelling, waving his arms. Suddenly, the property that had been a peaceful place of easy food transformed into a cacophony of hostile sounds and threatening movement. The bear took a step back, then another. Its head swayed from side to side, assessing if the food was worth all this trouble. Cooper remained firm, but now there were reinforcements. Now he wasn't alone. "Get out of here!" Mark yelled, his voice hoarse with emotion and adrenaline. "Go on! Get!" The bear growled one last time, a sound of frustration more than threat. And then, with surprising speed for a creature of its size, it turned and began to move back into the woods. Its movements were deliberate but swift, its body disappearing among the trees in seconds. Cooper remained in position for another long moment, making sure the threat had truly passed. His ears remained erect, swiveling to catch any sound of its return. His breathing was heavy, panting, his body trembling not from fear, but from the pure exhaustion of adrenaline. "Cooper!" Sarah cried from the doorway, unable to hold back any longer. "Cooper, come here!" The dog turned his head as if needing to confirm she was truly safe. And only then, only when he saw with his own eyes that everyone was inside or close to the house, did he begin to retreat, slow, careful steps, never fully turning his back on the woods. Cooper stumbled through the doorway, his legs visibly shaking now that the adrenaline was beginning to dissipate. He had barely crossed the threshold when Sarah fell to her knees and wrapped him in her arms, sobbing against his golden fur. "I'm so sorry," she whispered repeatedly, her tears wetting his fur. "I'm so sorry. You saved us. You saved me." Mark was beside them in seconds, his own hands trembling as he stroked Cooper's head. "Good boy." His voice completely broke. "The best boy, the best dog in the world." The children, now understanding what had happened, crowded around, their small hands touching Cooper with reverence and admiration. Dave leaned against the wall, his hands covering his face, processing how close they had come to tragedy. Jennifer was on the phone with wildlife authorities, her voice still shaky as she reported the incident. "We thought he was attacking you," Tom said, approaching with a devastated expression. "We held him back. Oh my God, we stopped him from protecting you." "He didn't care about that." Sarah lifted her tear-streaked face to look at Tom. "He just kept trying, even when everyone was against him, even when he should have given up and run to save himself. He kept trying to protect us." The truth of those words hung in the air. Cooper hadn't thought of himself for even a second. When he saw the danger, his only concern was to put his own body between the predator and his family. He was prepared to fight a 400-pound bear if necessary. He was prepared to die if it meant giving them a few precious seconds to escape. "That's what golden retrievers do," Dave said softly, still processing. "I've read about it. They're bred for generations to be protective, loyal to the end. But to read about it and to see it with your own eyes..." Mark knelt down completely, joining Sarah on the ground beside Cooper. He carefully examined the dog, his hands running over his body for injuries. "He's shaking," he observed. "We need to take him to the vet. He might be in shock." "I'll go get my pickup truck." Dave was already moving toward the front door. "I'll drive you guys there right now." As they waited, Sarah continued holding Cooper, whispering words of gratitude and love. The dog had leaned his head against her chest, his eyes finally closing in exhaustion. He had fought against his most basic instincts of self-preservation. He had faced a predator 50 times more lethal, and he had won, not through strength, but through unwavering courage. "He knew," Sarah said, looking at Mark. "Before any of us, he smelled the bear or heard something or just knew. And even when everyone turned against him, even when it seemed we lost faith in him, he never doubted what he needed to do." The trip to the vet was quick. Dr. Miller, who had known Cooper since he was a puppy, performed a full examination. "Physically, he's fine," he finally announced. "No injuries. But he's been through significant emotional trauma. His body released a huge amount of adrenaline. He's going to need rest, lots of affection, and time to process." "He'll get all of that," Mark assured him. "And then some." When they returned home, it was already night. The backyard was empty now, the chairs put away, the grill extinguished. Wildlife authorities had come by, confirmed the bear's tracks, and set up humane traps in the area. The bear would be relocated far from residential areas. Cooper was carefully brought inside, a soft bed prepared in the living room. Sarah sat beside him, her hand resting gently on his flank as he finally relaxed, sleep claiming him. "We were ready to confine him," Mark said softly, sitting beside his wife. "We were ready to call him dangerous, and all along." "He was being exactly what he always was," Sarah finished. "Our protector, our hero, our best friend." In the following weeks, Cooper's story spread throughout the community. Neighbors came to visit him, children brought him special treats, and the local mayor even presented him with a certificate of bravery in a small ceremony at the town park. But to Cooper, none of that mattered. What mattered was that Sarah was safe, Mark was safe, the children were safe. His family was whole, and as he lay in the afternoon sun, watching everyone play in the backyard, now with a tall fence installed between the property and the woods, his heart was at peace. He had done what he was born to do. He had protected those he loved. On that terrible day, when everyone doubted him, when friendly hands pulled at him and familiar voices accused him, Cooper never wavered. Because true love doesn't give up, true loyalty doesn't surrender, and a golden retriever never, ever abandons his family, even if it means facing monsters alone.